In more news, an article in the Wall Street Journal last week spotlighted a topic often ignored in the nation: the alarming abortion rate for African Americans in the United States. Wall Street Journal columnist Jason Riley wrote a piece last week titled, "Let's Talk About the Black Abortion Rate." Riley explored how in New York City, thousands more black babies are aborted than born alive each year. And he highlighted how on the national level, black women terminate pregnancies at far higher rates than other women. Look at these numbers. In 2014, black women made up 13% of the U.S. female population, but 36% of all abortions were performed on black women. I spoke on this exact topic.
I want to talk about the notorious Planned Parenthood. You're being told to go to Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood has a plan for you, especially you young ladies. Planned Parenthood is taking it far beyond what the Ku Klux Klan ever thought they could possibly take it.
In our community. How you doing, sis? You married? You married? You sure you're not married? Or you carrying? Why? Okay, good. Read that again. Hebrews 13, verse 4. Now, there's a saying, sis. Marry before you carry. Why? Why? The reason why we say marry before you carry, because before you lay down for man and give him up your womb, which is the highest value of a woman, the highest thing a woman could give to a man on this earth, right? Give him a womb and bearing his child, right? So if that's the highest thing a woman could give to a man on this earth, shouldn't there be some type of contract or agreement that I agree we're going to make a covenant with each other? You are interested in me. You're interested in the most beautiful thing, or the most precious thing to a woman is her body. Her shape, her figure was what a man desired. Right. So if you want the desire of me, you have to make an agreement with me. First and foremost, you have to do what? Tell me the steps. First and foremost, if you want to make a contract agreement, what does a man have to do in order to get your womb?
Propose, right?
There's a lot of things he has to do. Now, the first thing, one thing that we value in the black community in general, we value bearing children and raising children alone rather than having husbands and getting married. So we put bringing children in the world without a father rather than married a father, then bringing children to the world. So everything's backwards in the black community. Right. Everything's upside down, and that's why we have so many issues. That's why we have our young children growing up, our young boys. Now, is it a boy or girl? A boy. That's why the young boys grow up with single-parenting households, single mothers, and the boys grow up emotional, irrational, illogical, and angry. And then when they grow up, they're either going to go into the prison institution, or they're going to get angry, they're going to join a gang. Because some of them, at the highest rate of single-parent-led households, young boys growing up, they what? High suicidal rate, high mass incarceration rate, drop out of school, selling drugs, alcoholism, as well as drug abuse and gang affiliation. These are the things that go with not marrying. We do things backwards for some reason, only in the black community. Right. Read that. Hebrews 13, verse 4.
Hebrews chapter 13 and verse 4. Yep. Marriage is honorable in all.
So the Bible says marriage is honorable in all. Right. But marriage is not honored in the black community, because why? They don't teach us. No, we don't smoke. Why you gonna be teaching about God, you gonna ask us if we smoke? Come on. Put some respect on it. Read that again.
Marriage is honorable in all.
The first thing, the issue within our community, the plight of a lot of our issues comes with marriage. The birth of the nation. Before there was human beings, God formed who? Adam, right? Then took Eve from where? His rib. Then he said, do what? Be fruitful and multiply. So the first thing instituted was what? The black man and black woman marrying each other. That's bringing forth all the nations on this earth. So read that again.
Marriage is honorable in all.
But within the black community, we don't honor marriage because why? We're not taught marriage. Right. We're not taught the severity and importance of having two families, a male figure as well as a female figure, raising a child in a household. Because a woman can't raise a child by herself. Right. A woman can't teach a man how to be a man. Right. Or a woman cannot go to work, provide for the child, raise the child, feed the child. That's why a lot of these children are walking around going to the streets. And they're for the streets, and that's why they come home and in the 10 o'clock news, because where's daddy? Daddy's not home. You didn't make a contract agreement with the father. If you take my womb, then you have to bring papers. You got to sign a covenant. Read.
Marriage is honorable in all, and the bed undefiled.
The bed undefiled, because we like sex, right? Let's be honest. Sex is good. So the bed undefiled. You want to get freaky? You want to make it twerk in your bedroom? You want to go on chandeliers? You want to put the leg up behind your neck? That's on you. But do it with who? Your husband.
Right.
The bed undefiled. Read.
But whoremongers and adulterers God will judge.
But whoremongers and adulterers God will judge. Let me ask you a question. Is he going to? Are you guys living in the same house? You are. Whose house are you living in? Are you sure you live in the same house? You're positive. So why hasn't he married you?
Check it out.
How long have you been together for? 2 years. Now, have you spoken about marriage? So when did you start? How far in a relationship did you start speaking about marriage? 6 7 months. So does he have a job? Okay, does he make enough income to provide, pay all the bills? Okay, so he makes enough. Does he provide for the household? Okay. Does he take care, so he protects you, he provides? He does everything a husband's supposed to do, right? So, how many months are you? Huh? You're doing 2 days? Oh, Lord Jesus. So now you're doing 2 days. So 9 months, so over a year in the marriage, 6 months, you talked about marriage, but for some reason, you guys had a baby before you tied it up. Give me that Tobit.
Tobit, chapter 7 and verse 14.
Now, what's keeping you from going to the courthouse and getting a marriage certificate?
Bring it out!
What's keeping you? You got the house. You both are living in the same house. You talked about marriage, and you're having a baby in 2 days. You know what you should be doing tomorrow? Read.
And called Edna his wife, and took papers, and did write an instrument of covenant, and sealed it.
So, and called Edna his wife, and took an instrument of what?
And took an instrument of covenant, and sealed it.
What is an instrument of covenant, sis? He says, and called Edna his wife, and took an instrument of covenant, and sealed it. What do we call that today? A covenant. An instrument of covenant. Marriage papers. A covenant is a contract or agreement between 2 responsible adults that's saying, hey, I like you. I'm interested in you. I want to take you. I want to bring forth a child through your womb. You say, okay, if you want to do that. And guess what? A female rat, if you look at it scientifically, a female rat. Before a female rat lays with a male rat, first thing she checks for is what? Does the male rat have diseases? You know. Second of all, she checks for it. Does the male rat have a place to what? House the female rat, so when she builds children, she has a nest. So she doesn't have to worry about it. Because while you're your childbearing ages, when you bring forth a child, it's stressful. Yeah, postpartum stress syndrome. Yeah, postpartum stress syndrome, right? So you women, yeah, postpartum depression. You see, I already know because you women go through these psychological issues. I'm going through pain. Why don't you love me? So you got your problems and issues. You're breastfeeding, so your hormones are raging. So in that contract agreement, you're making a covenant with the husband, sis. While I'm bearing for your child, we're agreeing that you're going to marry me, you're going to house me, and then you're going to provide for me. Because I cannot provide. My job as a wife is to do what? What is your job as a wife? Okay, you're supposed to get marriage papers, first and foremost. That's a covenant that you guys make together. You haven't made that covenant. So something happens, you don't get his assets. You know where the assets go to? The child. Because his name will be on a birth certificate. So now the father has an agreement, a covenant between him and the child. So something happens, everything goes to the child. So now you make a covenant or agreement, something happens, it goes to you as well as the child. You don't get anything, no will, nothing. You get nothing out of the deal, but just a baby. That's it. There has to be a trade-off, sis. We got to start thinking wiser more. Now, what did I want? Now, what is the job of a wife? Think about it. So the husband's supposed to marry you, right? House you, provide, protect, right? So what is the duty of a wife? As the husband's doing these things, because we in 2021, in the millennial age or the modern age period, I see a lot of women saying that's the old traditional values. That's the old way. We don't honor the old way, the old covenant of marriage. Now the old traditional value is an independent woman. Independent, I have my own, you have your own. I go to work, you go to work, right? That's the new way age of thinking. I got my job, you got your job. I do me, you do you. I got my money, you got your money. I got my bank account, you got your bank account. That's the new way of thinking. Now, who's raising the children? The same people that rape, rob, oppress you, enslave you, and indoctrinate you with the religions that we partake in today. So what do you think they're going to teach your children? Their belief system, their thought process, their ideology, their philosophy, their traditions, their God. So now, what is the role of a wife in the house? Titus. How you doing, brother? What is the role of a wife in the house, sis? What's your name? You see like you're not here. And the reason, and that's the problem, sis. We're trying to properly educate and reverse the cycle of our sisters in the community because we see a major problem that's not being attended to and paying attention to. And that's why we're still going to continue the cycle of single-parented household and maybe 80% of children born out of wedlock. Because why? We're not following the proper steps and the guidelines that God set up. Right. So what does God say with the proper role of a woman? Give me 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 14. Read.
1 Timothy chapter 5 and verse 15.
14.
Verse 14. I will therefore that the young woman marry.
Read that again.
I will therefore that the young woman, that the younger woman marry.
So the Bible says, God says, I will therefore that the younger woman marry. Right. But that's not honoring the black community. You go to the Chinese community. What do you see? Male and female. You go to the white community. Every nation of people, East Indian, Arabian, Arabs, Africans. But when you go to the black and Hispanic, Latino, Native American Indian community, you see nothing but single-parented households. 80%. Now you have 1960s. Prior to the 1960s, the black family, it was only 26, about 5% of children that was born out of wedlock. Right. 1960s, it was 26% of children born out of wedlock. Now, 2013 and 2021, you have about 70 to 80% of children born out of wedlock. Right. There is a problem. Right. Marriage is not honored anymore. Right. The young black woman, Latino woman is not being taught the proper steps of marriage. You see a young man spit that game, spit in your ear, get in your pants, leave you a baby, and now you abort the child. Now you sisters are murderers. Now you commit a homicide. Because there's a lot of murderers walking around Newark. Right. Say, I aborted my baby. No, you didn't abort it. You killed your baby. Right. Let's call it what it is. Read that again.
I will therefore that the younger woman marry.
It doesn't say anything about boyfriends and girlfriends. And that's why a lot of you sisters are getting ran through. Getting ran through like Skittles. Because you don't value your body. You don't value yourself. And because you don't value your body and value yourself, you get these young men spitting games, speaking it to you, get into your pants and pegging you and leaving you, and then you say, that man is no good nigga. He's no good because he left me. He slept. Niggas ain't good. Black man ain't good. Black man ain't good. Black man's toxic. Wait a minute. But you open your legs to a toxic black man. A no good man. So, and guess what? And the issue with that is, by saying that the husband of the child that you're bringing into the world is no good, what are you saying to that child? You're going to raise a child in the same condition, the same fashion, and no good nigga that you said, that you slept with. Take it out! That husband is going to be a reflection of the child that you're bringing in the world. And it's going to be repeat the cycle. It's a continuous orbiting cycle. That's not going to be broken unless we fix it. Right. Read it again. It's in a black household, about 80% of households are led by single-parented households, female-led, and 80% of children are born out of wedlock. And there's a notion going around that the black woman is the most unprotected person in America. And if that's the case, let's say that's the case, right? Who's supposed to protect the black woman? the black man, right? So now, if there's 80% of children born out of wedlock, 80% of households led by single-parented, female-parented households, so how can a black man protect a black woman if she doesn't marry the man before she carries?
Bring it out!
Where's the father? You see how the cycle continues? The woman lays with a man, has sex with him, bears forth a child without a father. Then that child grows up in the same cycle. That same woman or female is going to grow up, going to have sex just like the mother has sex. Give me that in Ezekiel chapter 16, verse 44. Going to have sex just like the mother has sex. And what she's going to do? Have a child out of wedlock. And then what do you think is going to happen? Say she bears forth a man-child, a boy. What is the boy going to do? There's no daddy in the household, so you think the boy is going to marry a woman based upon what he sees? No. It's a repeated orbiting cycle that's continual in our community.
Right, you know.
So we say that the black man is supposed to protect the black woman, and the black woman says that she's supposed to be protected, right? So if you want to be protected, what should she do? Legs closed, Bible open, right. Marry before you carry it for protection. The woman has the ability to break the cycle just by closing her legs alone. Because a man can't get up in there unless she what? Allows him. Because women what? Women allows access to what? Relationship or sex? Sex. Now, man has access to what? Relationship or sex? You sure? If the woman says no, so which one does the man have access to? The relationship. So the man, in order to get access to a woman's body, what must he do if he wants a relationship with the woman? Marry her. But they're not going to teach it. It's a continual orbiting cycle. Right. And it's going to keep on going until somebody breaks the cycle. Right. Read that.
Ezekiel chapter 16 and verse 44. Behold, everyone that uses proverbs shall use this proverb against thee, saying, as is the mother, so is her daughter.
As is the mother, so is her daughter. Read.
Thou art thy mother's daughter, that loatheth her husband.
Thou art thy mother's daughter, that loatheth me. You know what loatheth means? Hated her husband.
Right.
God is telling you the conditions and the mindset of our woman. Thou art thy mother's, thou art thy daughter's what?
Thou art thy mother's daughter.
Thou art thy mother's daughter, that what?
That loatheth her husband.
So it says, as is the mother, so is the daughter. Now God is saying, your daughter, you are your mother's daughter that loatheth, that hateth her husband. Why does the daughter hate her husband now? Because the mother hated her husband. Right. You see the continual cycle? Somebody has to break the chain. Right. Somebody, that's why God says in Ezekiel chapter 13, verse 17, prophesy against his daughters and emotion. So that's why us as men, we have to take control of our community. Right. We got to first and foremost set ourselves in order. Right. We got to know, what does God require of a man? What is a man according to God? Not a man according to what the world society teaches, because the man that society teaches is what? Get money, get hoes, get yours, get rich, die trying, that's it. What is the characteristic of a man? What is the traits and attributes that a man is supposed to possess? That was never taught in our community. That's why we got nothing but a gangbangers, single-parent households. We got mass incarceration, and it all extends from what? The family ties, family values, principles, morality, and ethics. Read.
Ezekiel chapter 13 and verse 17. Likewise, thou son of man, set thy face against the daughters of thy people.
Once the black man gets himself in order, he said, thou son of man, set your face against the daughters of your people. Meaning a black and Latino woman that's out of order, running rampant thinking that she's an independent woman. She ain't independent nothing. Right. You know why I said a black woman's not independent? Because what did a black woman get her? She's independent for the black man. But where did she get her independence? A woman by nature. A woman dependent by nature or independent? Huh?
What did they say?
A woman by nature, dependent or independent? Dependent. Are men by nature dependent or independent? Independent. Now, 2021, the modern day woman, is she dependent or independent on a black man? The modern day, 2021, the black woman today, is she dependent or independent to a black man? Independent, right? So that's why it's role reversal. the cycle has been reversed. Our roles in a household, in a marriage, or within a community has been reversed.
Right.
Now, instead of the black man being independent and the black woman being dependent on a black man, now the black man is what? Dependent, and the black woman is independent. So once we get our minds right, the Bible says to do what?
Likewise thou son of man, set thy face against the daughters of thy people.
Set your face against your woman. Means correct your woman. Put her in a place.
Right.
Tell her, no, that's not the way. What you're doing, your way of thinking, your mindset is wrong. Too long you've been around with a black man. Too long you've been saying, single woman, oh, single woman, where my single woman at? Too long you've been saying, oh, to the left, to the left, to the right, to the right. Too long we have been rap stars or R&B artists like Neo singing independent. Oh, she's so independent. Too long we have allowed that in our community.
Right.
No longer we gonna allow Neo sing any song that's independent. No longer should we allow Beyonce saying to the left, I can get another you in a minute. No longer we gonna let these R&B artists or these rap artists poison the mind state of our people.
That's right.
No longer we have to correct the community. Like we're doing, you gotta do the same if you want to change. Read.
Set thy face against the daughters of thy people, which prophesy out of their own heart.
Which prophesy out of the what?
Out of their own heart.
Which speaks out of their own heart, meaning out of their own emotions. Because if you look at it, women by nature are not logical. Men are logical. They're more forward thinking. They have more foresight.
Right.
They're more organized in terms of thoughts. They more have protective and guidance. These are the traits that men possess.
Right.
And a woman don't possess these things. That's why a woman needs a man to survive. And a woman has to understand that she needs a man to survive. So once our sisters understand that you need a man, then we reverse the cycle.
We used to scream black power while heroin was pushed. But at the end of the day, nothing's in vain. IUIC has been given a vision. The tents of Judah has risen. Many has attempted the mission, minor murmuring, omitting, and missing the mark. Just reading that he had the flame of fire in his eyes gave us the spark. We on Paul's mission. We out on the road, purple and gold, from Mexico, Cuba, Haiti, Ghana, Sierra Leone. 144,000 boots banging, concrete crackling. These are how men repented at heart. The scriptures is proof. IUIC, we deliver the truth.